Welcome to the first episode of a new series on my new channel, and this will be Milan Monday, summarising everything that has happened with Milan over the past week. Now, I won't bore you with like, share, subscribe stuff, so let's get straight into it. And obviously the big news of the week is the renewals of the contract of Maldini and Massara. Now, the fact that these renewals were left for mere hours before their contracts were meant to expire is not encouraging. However, it is finally a sigh of relief that the two men that were instrumental to our Scudetto success last season are actually staying at the club for next season, which is very important transfer-wise. Think about Theo Hernandez, for example. I don't think he would have come to Milan had Maldini not personally paid him a visit before he was signed. So this is why those renewals are so important. However, it is still a bit concerning how late those renewals were left. So now Maldini and Massara's contracts have finally been renewed. It's time to focus on transfer bidders, finally. Now, obviously the bad news with transfers is the failure to sign Botman. Now this man, ever since January, has been strongly linked with Milan. He was meant to be a Milan player right now, but thanks to the complications with the change in ownership, obviously, from Elliott to Redbird, and the subsequent delays in the renewal of Maldini and Massara, meant that he obviously went to Newcastle in the end because they were offering way more. For God's sake, they have the Saudi Public Investment Fund backing them, so of course they were able to offer more money. But in the grand scheme of things, whilst it is a disappointment not to get a player of his calibre to Milan, who clearly wanted to come, by the way. I mean, he may say that the Newcastle project was a bit better, but I doubt that, considering he took literally weeks to finally accept the Newcastle offer. Anyway, in the grand scheme of things, missing out on Botman isn't really much of a big deal, I guess, because out of all the areas of the squad, apart from goalkeeper, defender is not really an area that Milan really should be looking to massively improve in the first place by buying a player like Botman for 25-30 million, even though he would have been a very good player and one with experience, national team experience, Champions League experience, league winning experience like Magnon. The problem is that other squads other areas of the squad definitely need more improvements than the defence, with the rock solid partnership late last season of Kalulu and Tomori, and the fullbacks both being pretty good. Out of all the areas of the pitch, as I was saying, defence is not really an area that needs as much attention as the other areas of the pitch. But an area of the squad that definitely needs more attention than the defence is the midfield, and this is where Sanchez comes in. Now, Sanchez was again meant to be a Milan player by now, like Botman. However, again, like Botman, another oil-rich, sugar daddy-funded club like PSG came in and seemingly swooped him, and he was meant to be a PSG player. However, Lille's president has come out in recent days saying that actually there have been no contacts between Lille and PSG over Renato Sanchez. This is despite reports over the past week that he was actually in Paris to finalise personal terms. And so, well, who do you trust here? Because, well, maybe the Lille's president is trying to start a bidding war, because it seems like Sanchez is definitely going to PSG. But if the Lille president was to try and drum up interest, he would say, no, actually, he's still on the market. And so this would encourage clubs like Milan to bid more for him, and so for Lille to get more money, which they desperately need. However, Renato Sanchez is in Paris, seemingly finalising personal terms. So who do you trust? I mean, it could be that Sanchez was simply in Paris for a holiday. I mean, I don't know. I'm not him. Only he knows, I guess, and his agent. But at the end of the day, Milan should have, obviously, like Botman, to be honest, but more so with Sanchez, should have got this deal over the line, because it is a deal that we do definitely need. We do really need a replacement for Kessie, there's no doubt. Even though, Tonali and Benacer is a good partnership, we can't just simply have that if we're expecting to go deep in the Champions League or the Coppa Italia and also try and defend our Scudetto. There's no way. We need a player like Sanchez, a player of his calibre, to not serve as a backup but as a rotation option. We simply need that luxury of, if our main tandem was to get injured, or if one is underperforming, to simply swap them with another player of good caliber, because that is how a good team works. You have that intense competition for every spot on the pitch, and so this is why Sanchez is really needed. And I'm glad at the time I'm recording on Sunday afternoon that in fact we are still seemingly in pole position for Sanchez, if you trust the little president and what he says about PSG's interest. But still, the complication with the renewals definitely hasn't helped it. But hopefully now Maldini and Massara are tied down to new contracts, we can start to see these transfer deals that we really do need finally going through. Now, the area of the pitch that definitely needs improving even more than the midfield is the attack. Now, I'm not saying that the attack is in dire need of improving. Of course, it was the attack that won us the Scudetto last season. But you do get the feeling, especially on the right wing, where you either have an inconsistent Salamakers or an alright but ageing Messias, that yes, if you want to truly advance to the next level, you do need someone better, someone with a wealth of experience and proven quality in that position. And this is why, after the renewals of Maldini and Massara, I'm pleased to see links with players like Asensio and Ziyech, and I'll be discussing that right now. So, first of all, we have Asensio. Now, he is a player of proven quality, there's no doubt. He's played many games for Real Madrid. Last season he was a bit part player, but he still chipped in with some contributions here and there. And since he is in the last year of his contract, he would probably go for a price that's not very outrageous, let's just say, in today's market. So I would say 20-25 million. That is probably the best price that we can get for him. And if you think about it, that is a very good deal, because as I said, he is definitely a good player. He's played many years for arguably the biggest club in the world with 14 Champions Leagues and God knows how many La Liga titles, dozens probably, definitely in fact. So there's no doubt that Asensio would be a quality addition to the squad, and I mean quality. I would love to see him come in. But then you've got to consider the competitor in terms of transfer links for that right wing role, and that is Hakim Ziyech. Now, he is similar to Asensio in the way that he has proven quality. Don't forget, he was one of the main men in that amazing Ajax run to the Champions League semi-finals in 2019. And he's fallen out of favour at Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel, but he still performs well sometimes. I mean, quality like what he showed at Ajax doesn't just simply disappear. And don't forget, I mentioned his amazing Champions League run with Ajax. He has that Champions League experience as well. And so, yeah, you're looking at another quality addition. And therefore, there's this debate going on, Asensio or Ziyech, who would you rather have? Frankly, personally, I can't decide. I think they're both fantastic options, and I'd be pleased with either of them. In terms of how we get them, though, maybe I'd lean towards Ziyech. He is apparently available on a loan, perhaps with an option to buy deal, and Ziyech has already given the green light to this, whilst Asensio would be a flat-out transfer fee, although, as I mentioned, 20 to 25 million, maybe we could get him for that. That's a good price for a player of his quality, and that would definitely upgrade that right wing. So, frankly, I wouldn't really be too gutted if we were to get Ziyech but not Asensio, or vice versa. And don't forget, I've completely, in this Asensio-Ziyech debate, I've completely omitted another player that's strongly linked, Katelaere. Now, not much has happened in the past week, so I guess I shouldn't touch on him too much. It's Asensio and Ziyech that's mainly been the topic of the past week. But Katelaere is still an option. He would be quite expensive, though. 30 to 40 million is the price I've heard quoted, and therefore you can see Milan, whilst looking at Asensio and Ziyech, who would definitely be cheaper, and then looking at Katelaere, who he does have quality, but does he have that experience like Asensio or Ziyech? Obviously not. He doesn't have that top 5 league experience. He's broken onto the scene with Club Bruges, which, no disrespect, I mean, simply by the fact that it's not in the top 5 leagues, there is a step up from that, obviously, to Serie A with the champions of Italy, Milan. So there is the debate going on, and as I said, Asensio or Ziyech, I'd take either. And the Katelaere as well. It would be intriguing, for example, I'm thinking, if we could possibly get Ziyech on a loan with option to buy, if he does well, activate that at the end of next season, and get De Katelaere also this window as our young prospect to develop. Now that would be presumably pretty good business, considering that we wouldn't be paying a straight fee for Ziyech straight away, whilst we would for De Katelaere. So we basically have two quality additions to the attack. And don't forget the fact that we do need also someone for that attacking midfield role, considering that Brahim Diaz considerably underperformed last season. So it is looking pretty good for the Milan attack if these transfer links can turn into proper deals. And I haven't even talked about the striker position. I mean, there's no point talking about Leao. He should be obviously the starting on the left wing next season, so there's no point talking about his quality, we all know it. In terms of a striker role, obviously there's Origi that should come in, and again, not much has happened in the past week, so I won't really talk too much about him. He could alternate with Giroud. That is a pretty good Milan attack. And finally, who could have forget about the sensational links, frankly, that have emerged in the last week of La Gioia, Dybala. He was meant to go to Inter along with Lukaku, and they were meant to have a scary attack. They still do have a very scary attack for next season, but it seems like complications with selling players there, and obviously the fact that they don't have much money, it's opened the door for Milan. Now, with Dybala, it is very strange because, first of all, I'm always wary of getting players from Juventus. That never seems to work out. Whether you think of Bonucci or Matri, like, it never seems to quite go well. But then you think about the fact that we're not paying money to Juventus. He's a free agent right now, so we'd simply just, agree a contract with him, and he's ours. We wouldn't pay any transfer fees. So even if he doesn't even if he doesn't live up to expectations, he's basically a free hit. If he does well, that's fantastic transfer business. So that part of the deal, if it were to happen, would be quite exciting for me. A player of his quality that's proven it year after year in Serie A, although there are debates about perhaps his, contributions in certain games for Juve, there's no doubt that signing him, especially on a free, and without a contract that's too outrageous, would be an absolute coup and a statement of intent that clearly the new owners want. And there we go, just like that. That is going to be the end of the video. I think I've discussed everything that's happened in the past week, considering there has been a lot. I might have missed out on something, so if you think I have, let me know in the comments down below. So in terms of what I will be uploading in the near future, I'll try and make this as reliable a weekly series as I can, releasing this every Monday. However, I'll also try and put in some videos in between, so this could be just some video ideas I have, top 10 Milan matches since Pioli took over, or perhaps my ideal team for next season. I'll really go into depth with it if I was to do that video. So that's just a little brief on what I might be doing in the near future, so hopefully see you then.